What is up, guys, and welcome back to another Never Broken Auto video. It's been a little bit, but we're back. We got another Miata this week. We're gonna be doing a complete color change, although it's not much of a color change, but we will be completely wrapping this vehicle, as well as potentially servicing the timing belt. I have to check it out. It potentially could be out of time. So once I'm finished with that, I'll be taking a look at that. But I gotta get it prepped, get it all cleaned. There's a few things that I gotta sand. In this video, by the way, will be a little more in-depth. I'm actually going to show basically everything I do as far as prepping, like physically installing, how to set yourself up to install, things like that. But we do have a few spots to sand. It is really smooth, but even this failing clear coat can be a hindrance for us. So we're going to get this all washed and then potentially get to sanding and then polishing after. But we got a super good base to work with. This car is literally like a gem, to be honest. The auto 1999, it's all stock, and like the body is in really good condition, so we'll be able to get this one looking even newer than it is now. But I'm gonna get this all prepped up and we'll get to the shop and get to installing. Right, all prepped. I got badges removed, front and rear. I'm probably gonna wait once I get to the shop to do all the sanding, because the paint's super hot. I don't want to necessarily have to sand, get it wet again, have it dry, things like that. So it's all ready to go to the shop to get put onto the lift, get everything taken off, and get it super prepped, ready to rock. Might even start laying some panels down today. But let's show you guys the color really quick. And it looks the same, because it is. So we're gonna be wrapping it to British Racing Green, basically exactly what's on the car. It'll be a slightly different look as far as like the shade of green. Once you actually put it up onto the vehicle, it does look slightly different. So I already got it all cut out. Pieces are ready to rock. I literally just got to take it to the shop, get a few more things prepped, get things taken apart, and then get to actually wrapping. So I will see you guys when we get to the shop. So let's do a little YouTube one. All right, all set up. Gotta take a few things off, like front headlights, bumper, door handles, mirrors. These things, which we'll have to do some stuff to be able to get those off, since these are kind of stuck in there. But all pieces are cut, like I said. Basically, I can put up all the measurements for a Miata here. What I mean for the full side is that I measured from basically right about here all the way to the back side, and that will consist of the door and this. Since this is one uniform piece, we want it to be one uniform piece in the wrap. So I measured from there to there, and I cut that door out. And then for the bumpers, they are cut together. Since they're only about 30 inches, you can cut the roll, which is 60 inches, in half, and then you'll be able to have two bumpers from one cut roll. It's about 110 inches for the bumpers. All right, we have our first piece going down. It is the hood. Like I said, we are doing British Racing Green, and it is a pretty solid match. It's a little different, but will look sick once it's fully installed. Try and pull the line diagonal. Just lay it down and then come to this side. All right, I got the hood all installed. As you can tell, it looks nice and clean compared to this. So I'm gonna come back tomorrow, get started on the rest of the vehicle, and yeah, so catch you guys in the morning. First official day of actually wrapping. I laid down the hood yesterday, but that was just a quick test panel. I'm gonna start with getting the wheels off, get these off on all 4 arches, and then I'm gonna go fender, trunk, and then I'll go side, top, and then bumpers, and then door handles, mirrors, things like that. With this, since it is a green car, you don't necessarily have to go too deep on things. If this was like a white car going to green, I would pull out all these bolts here, and then I would move the fender completely out so that you can access that area there, as well as getting into this area. But realistically, I'm worried about like up here, and then if I have the fender out, I can move this to then get super deep on this A-pillar. But with it being a green car going to green, we don't necessarily have to do too much coverage, but still want to make it look clean. So we'll still go deep on these edges here, same thing in here, all the way up on the insides. But yeah, so. Since this car is green and we're wrapping it green, I don't necessarily need to cut the door out because I don't need to wrap in as far. Typically, I would lay out this whole panel. I would trace my finger along this door, and then I would cut in about 1 inch past of the rear quarter so that I have enough to then lay in to this seam, and then I would lay knifeless tape, and then this excess would lay in and the knifeless tape would do the cutting for me. But that's typically what I do when this, say, is like a white car and we're wrapping it green. We need to do a lot more coverage. So with this, I'm actually just going to lay out the whole side, cut out all my excess, and then I'm just going to lay the entire side in one go. All right, as you guys can see, I cut out this excess in the top, and then on this lower section where the wheel well is, and I now have my whole door, the lower skirt, and the rear quarter. Currently this has a liner on it, so I am going to pull that liner off, so it allows me to basically move this really easy rather than it being kind of stiff. You can kind of see it's super stiff right now, so basically I just kind of like to move out my tension, double check all my areas, make sure we're clearing everything. Want to re-tack my balance so it's nice and clean, and then we're basically good there. So to minimize the static that comes off when you're pulling the liner, I like to use soapy water. So I'll just come up to a corner and be able to pull the liner up. And I just like to slowly pull and kind of spray my liner. So it kind of just reduces the static. And if the vinyl gets wet, really whatever, it kind of helps anyways. Shop, so I like to do it because I think it's shop. Probably start from this side since this is full and that moves shorter, so I don't have to worry about pulling this. Yeah, let's get to it. As I slowly pull the liner, I'm moving my magnets out of the way so that these can kind of just flow through freely. And as there is a crease right here, I'm going to undo my magnets so that I can lift and pull nice and steady. So as you can see, I was pulling kind of across and up and that way. Here, I might just need to be able to pull up to about there. These horizontal lines, I can pull down. That's basically completely glassed out. There's a few small ripples that you guys can see right about here, right about there. I'm gonna pull those up. I'm gonna kind of start in the middle of the door and kind of work all the way across to the back quarter, and then I'll work down and up. Saw that I stretched it this way, stretched it that way. I started in the middle, kind of crossed it in half, then I worked up and then I worked down, and then I started all my trimming. It's been a little bit since I filmed though, but this whole side is done, as well as this whole side. We've got the mirrors back on with some of our inlays in, like this one here. And we always like to make the seam on the back side so that it's not necessarily out in front or whatever, but it's kind of, it's visible, but it's hidden, you know? And then we got one here, and then we will put one here and here, and those will be our mirrors. This one is all one piece. Basically, you want to measure out like 36 inches by 60, and then you'll stretch it across. And I always like to wrap super far down in there just to conceal everything. But this is all what I got done in one day. Today's Monday. Basically got the whole body done other than bumpers, door handles, and we got a little bit of the mirrors left. So we'll get to that tomorrow. I'll show you guys how to do some inlays on the bumpers and then how to go about stretching those, as well as the finishing the mirrors and the door handles. All right, quick check on the mirrors. We got this one inlay, the slower one. I'm gonna throw a piece down here, put a seam here, and then a piece up and over. As you can see, I'm using the heat to slowly conform the film to the shape of the mirror, and then I'm cutting away any sort of excess film that is not needed, or cutting away excess film in areas to allow me to conform the vinyl even better. I work it into all the areas, cut it all back, and then get ready for the next inlay. Next will be the door handles. These ones are inset and really easy. They have a mechanism that kind of opens and closes, so you can shove something in there to keep it open at times. My first piece though is going to be inset where the handle actually is, where your fingers go. You can see I cut it on that inside lip. And then our next piece will be across where the lock is, and then our next piece will be the actual handle itself. Then moving on to our front bumper, we have two inlays for our mouth area. We have the one up on the top section, which is first, our lower section, which is next, and then we have a small seam up on the top, which is then cut out by our knifeless tape. I typically like to throw this inlay in on the bottom of the bumper with some excess scrap, and then that allows for the full wrap. All right, so we are onto the front bumper. We've already got our mouth inlaid. As you guys saw, I put two inlays in. So I put one on the top first, and one down here, and then I made a seam up in this top corner, which you can't see from looking up here. And then I also inlaid this bottom section, just so that wrapping all the way down isn't a pain. We just have something to meet down there. So I'm gonna clean this up, and then I'm going to roll out the roll, and we will pull it and get it installed. Oh yeah, this color looks good on the Miata. All right, rear bumper, it's all finished up. As you can tell, our inlays is this one, and then up here under the trunk lid. And then we also threw one down here, which you can see this seam, very small, but we throw pieces down there. Since this is a very bubbly bumper, it's kind of hard to fully wrap under. But this color looks amazing on this car. Brand new. Everything looks great. Clarity is super, super nice. So, gonna let it sit outside for a little bit, probably a couple hours, while I'm finishing up these little like fender blocker, I don't even know, Tupperware maybe, but I'm gonna finish those up while this sits outside and bakes for a little bit, shows me any imperfections if there is any, and then I'll bring it back inside, we'll clean it up, ceramic coat it, and then we'll take it back home. This is about it, to be honest with you. We're almost done with this, so let's get back inside, let's get to finishing this up. Oh my God.